Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cut to the Chase Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Chase Shantz. To my right, Brady King. What's going on, Brady?
Not too much, Chase. Just very excited to be back. Voice a little messed up, but a little bit sick, but it's getting a little better. Excited for this week for sure. Good week last week at Wisconsin. We got another good week here coming up against Rutgers on the road again. Matt's gonna be listening out on the radio. He's excited to do that. And this is my favorite episode of the week.
All right. Took all Matt's things. Matt, how are you doing?
Good, man. Obviously, last week, big road win. Buckeyes still battling on the road this week. Piscataway, New Jersey. So I'm excited for it. Going to listen to them on the radio. Really hope the Buckeyes just continue to cover those spreads.
Got that right.
Last week.
Yep, they didn't, but you guys covered it. You were at the game. Very fun experience. How was Madison, Wisconsin? I'll go to Matt himself.
That was the greatest game day environment I've ever been to. They know how to party up there. All they know is football, hockey, and beer. So it was a great time. It was very fun. It's a good college town for sure. So I will definitely be going back to Madison, no doubt.
All right. Good to hear. Brady, how about you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a good one to cross off the list. It was cold, but it was really exactly what you expected out of Wisconsin. Like, you just walk out and you're like, yeah, this is definitely Wisconsin. Like, I don't know what to say about it. Like, the football atmosphere was awesome. You could tell, like, just standing outside the stadium, seeing everybody everywhere pregame, all that stuff was really cool. And then, great college town. And then the game atmosphere itself was really good as well. Pretty much packed stadium. Jump around, good music in the stadium, good. The fans kind of annoying, but it just depends where you're at. Like, I've had that. That's like my third bad experience with Wisconsin fans, so no surprise there. But it was definitely a good experience.
Yep, good stuff.
Good cheese curds as well. Good cheese curds.
Oh yeah, gotta love the cheese curds, man, especially up there in Wisconsin. But that's good stuff to hear and everything. Another good thing that we heard on Tuesday night was the fact that the Ohio State Buckeyes are the number one team in the country, rated by the committee.
Yeah.
What were your guys' initial thoughts on the top 4 and 5 and 6 being Washington and Oregon in that order? What were your guys' thoughts on that? I'll start, Brady.
Yeah, I think the committee did a pretty good job. I thought we definitely deserved that one spot with our resume, our defense being arguably the best defense in the country, and on offense, we're always going to have something going because we have Marvin Harrison Jr. So all that combined, I thought it was very fair. We were 1, and then Georgia at 2, Michigan at 3. I don't know if you're going based off resume, I'd probably put Florida State and Washington ahead of them, but they've also been fairly dominant. Michigan winning all their games pretty handily. Georgia not being as dominant, but getting their rhythm now. So I thought the order was good.
Matt, what'd you think?
Well, I thought it was great. I thought the committee got it right, mostly for sure, especially towards the top. I think really out of the top 5, I'd probably switch Washington and Florida State just because Washington's big win over Oregon. I'd probably switch those two, but other than that, I think the committee got it right and did a great job.
Yeah, I thought it was a good list for the first time out. Hopefully, Ohio State can keep that way and keep going, and hopefully try to get themselves in good position for a national championship. Speaking of position, they play Rutgers on Saturday at noon on CBS. Ohio State's an 18.5-point favorite. What's something that you're looking forward to in this game, Matt, against the Rutgers team who won't go down without a fight?
I'm looking forward to more ways of getting TreVeyon Henderson the ball. Just continue to give him touches and everything like that. He had over 200 yards of offense last week. Great job catching the ball out of the backfield. So just especially with the injury to Mayan Williams now, the out for the year down running back, how are we going to continue to get Trey the ball? I thought he was looked really his best that he's looked this season, which is pretty crazy coming off of supposedly his injury that he got against Notre Dame. I thought he looked his best so far this year against Wisconsin. So I'm excited. Hopefully, he can continue to go, and we'll see the new creative ways we get him the ball throughout the next few weeks.
Yeah, he balled out Saturday, did a really good job. It was a big reason why Ohio State won that football game, him and obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. Do you have any things you'd like to retract on about TreVeyon, Matt, before I pass it to Brady?
I do not, no.
Okay.
Not at all.
All right, cool. That's off-camera stuff, but it's not a big deal.
I have the one thing I'm going to ask. The one thing I think you will like to retract on, because you basically said it already, and I know you would agree with this, is benching TreVeyon Henderson.
Yes.
There you go. Okay,
right,
that's
cool.
fair. Because I agree with most of the other stuff you said that doesn't have to do with his football ability. But yeah, okay. So what I'm looking forward
to be honest, I'm just going to, I'll fucking say it. I don't give a fuck. All right. One, a lot of times in the past, he runs timid, runs like a pussy, and goes down very, very easily with contact. His contact balance is not very good. And he can't stay healthy. So those two things, 100%, I think are factual. I think both are still true about him. And if he could stay healthy throughout the rest of the season, there's definitely a good chance I take that back. Okay. But throughout his career at Ohio State, I will say that he just finds a way to get banged up. Something happens. There's always fucking something. So let's continue to stay healthy, Trey, and stay available, because he clearly is the most talented of all the backs we have on this roster and has clearly the most upside. The problem is he's got to stay healthy. So there you go.
Yeah.
There's what we're talking about.
Cool. All right. I mean, couldn't agree more with that. Brady, what are you looking forward to in this game?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting game because we're playing a good team this weekend, which is crazy to say when we're playing Rutgers. Yeah. We're playing in Piscataway. You know, the atmosphere won't be good. Let's be honest. There's going to be half the stands filled, even though Rutgers is a good team this year. So this is really about how we match up with them. They have the number 2 defense in America, yards allowed wise. Number 2. So they're really good on defense. Pass defense is phenomenal. I believe it's number 1 in the country. I might be wrong.
Wow.
But so that's big test for Kyle. The main thing I'm looking for is how are we going to stop the quarterback run? They have one of the best running quarterbacks in the country, Gavin Wimsatt, and he ran for 180-some rushing yards a couple weeks ago against Indiana. So we're going to have to contain him. That'll be a good test for J.J. McCarthy in a couple weeks, who has pretty good athleticism. Not to this point, but not to the extent of Gavin Wimsatt, but he definitely can move. So it's going to be a good test there.
Yeah. Going to be a lot of things to test for Ohio State against a good team on the road in the Big Ten. So, looking forward to that game. Do you guys have a pick for this one? Score prediction, Matt?
Yeah, I think the Buckeyes win by about 20, 25. So I'll go like 35-10.
Okay. All right, cool. Brady?
Yeah, I'm going to go 27-17. I don't know if I can pick any. I just don't know if I can pick our offense to go ahead of 30 until I see it, especially against a good defense.
All right. I'll go on ahead and say Ohio State. I won't give my score prediction, but I'll say Ohio State doesn't cover the spread, but I think it'll be very close to covering the spread in that regard. Moving on to a couple other games, Kansas State and Texas play each other. It's the noon game on Fox, big noon kickoff. Kansas State 6-2, Texas 7-1. How are we feeling about this one, and who's going to win the game, Brady?
Yeah, this is an interesting game for sure. For Texas without Quinn Ewers. I don't know much about Kansas State. I haven't watched them much. I just know what their scores have been and their record. So I'm going to assume Texas is probably going to win this game, even with Malik Murphy and not Quinn Ewers. But I could be mistaken. It's going to be this is a good test for Malik Murphy against a ranked team. We'll see if Malik Murphy is their quarterback of the future or if it's Arch Manning.
Yep. So yeah, Texas in that one. Texas favored by 4. Pretty tight line there for them being home. Matt, what are your thoughts? Who's going to win?
I agree with Brady. I think Texas is probably going to win. I'm not sure what the over-under is in this game. I probably will bet the over, though. Feels like one of those overs. I think Oklahoma State, Kansas State had an over, I bet, earlier in the year. It hit over. So, yeah, I think you look for more of a high-scoring game here, but I do think Texas will win this one.
Over under 49.5. So
that's what the over is?
Yep.
Oh, over. Fuck me.
There you go. Well, there you go. There you go. So you got Texas, both Texas. I'll roll with Texas as well. Queen sweep. Brady's over there. Looks like he's dying, but hopefully you get better, Brady. Move to 3:30. We'll go Missouri, number 12 in the country, taking on Georgia. I mean, CBS has a triple header that day. They got 3 really good games. Missouri and Georgia. This is one of the games that was circled for Georgia where Brock Bowers isn't playing, and they're like, well, this is a tough Missouri team that's coming to town. Does Missouri get the job done in this one, Matt? Or does Georgia keep rolling?
No, they do not.
Okay.
I think I'm just going to be honest with you. When I saw Missouri at 12 and Ole Miss at 10, I was like, they're probably around that area. Both teams are. But there ain't no fucking way Ole Miss is Missouri is the 12th best team. It's just my opinion. I just think they're it's one of those little resume builders they're throwing in there for Georgia down the line where they have it's a good reason to keep Missouri ranked for Georgia's schedule or strength of schedule or whatever the hell they're doing. I think Georgia beats the living piss out of them. I do. So, I mean, I'd be surprised if Georgia wins by less than 20.
All right. Georgia's favored by 15.5, just to say. Brady, what do you think in this one?
I was thinking upsets at time for this game, but then it just my moods changed. Georgia's playing better than they were. Also, Missouri, they have a decent record, 1 loss, but it was to LSU. I'm not super high on LSU. I just don't think they can hang with them. And I also think, like Matt said, they should never be ranked 12th in the country. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. You're telling me that our win over Penn State is 1 spot better than if we were to beat Missouri that day. I mean, come on.
Wow.
They dropped our wins from what the AP poll had, but would boost these other teams like Missouri up in the and Ole Miss up in the rankings. It's just kind of wild to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one thing about the rankings that still stayed the same is even though, yes, we did get put in that number 1 spot, they did not respect our wins quite as much as I think they should have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who wins this Georgia game?
Georgia.
There you go. All right. Moving right along. Bedlam, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma's on the road. 7-1. Oklahoma State's at home, 6-2, coming off a win against Cincinnati Bearcats, who are in turmoil right now. Who wins? Who wins Bedlam?
I think I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead.
I like Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I like Oklahoma State. I think
34-20.
Okay, Oklahoma 34-20. Brady, you think Oklahoma State's going to get the dub?
Yeah, I think Oklahoma State's going to win. I don't think Oklahoma's good. Now, I think they got robbed in the rankings. I get it. They probably aren't as good as Alabama or Texas, but when they beat Texas, who beat Alabama, they literally are at the top of that chain when you're going down the list. They're the only team that beat the team, all have 1 losses.
Yeah.
1 loss. So, but I also think they're not that good and we'll lose again, and that won't really matter.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the point there. So, we'll see what goes on with that. Oh my God, the Celtics scored 155 points.
Jeez.
Good grief. All right.
Jeez.
That's a lot. That's off track. Penn State, Maryland. Penn State has 1 loss. They're still quote unquote alive for the time being. They go to College Park to take on Maryland. Penn State, 8.5-point favorites. Matt, does Penn State win?
No, they don't.
Oh.
I think Maryland wins. I think Maryland wins 27-24.
All right. Brady,
Yeah.
what do you think?
I'm gonna go with Penn State. I've thought about this game quite a bit for weeks. Maryland's just that type of team that has Penn State's number. They have an all-time tweet. They tweeted after they beat Penn State in 2020, "You were, we are." Really loved that. I don't think that's going to happen this time. I think Penn State is going to find a way on defense to stop Talia Tagovailoa and their passing game as well as their run game. And just, I don't think Maryland's defense is actually not bad. Like, they're not a defensive team. They're more of an offensive team, but their defense this year is not horrendous.
Yep.
So I don't think Penn State's going to light them up, but I do think Penn State scores 30s, in the 30s, low 30s, high 20s. And I think Maryland's kept to the teens.
Yeah. All right. You got a split there. I will take Penn State just to make the matchup with Michigan that much more interesting. It's going to be a good game, though. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a really good game out there at College Park. Washington and USC. USC has 2 losses. USC looks completely pathetic. Washington's undefeated. Washington's looked pretty pathetic the last couple of weeks, but they're still unscathed. Who gets scathed again in this one? Washington goes to the Coliseum. We'll go with Brady. Who wins?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. This is probably the 2 teams preseason would have thought the 2 best teams in the Pac-12. I think it's clearly Oregon, even though Washington beat them. So I do think either team could win in this game, especially with how Washington's playing. But I don't get me wrong, I don't think USC is good, which is why I'm going to pick Washington. I just think those guys will have a field day on USC's defense. I mean, imagine Roma Dunze running a post with Bryson Shaw being the safety help.
It's pretty wild.
That's a touchdown. Like, I always think about, like, we saw Bryson Shaw on the field in 2021. Imagine him in practice. Like, what happened to that dude?
Yeah, he dead on arrival is all I got to say. Matt Below, who wins?
I think Washington wins by 10.
All right. Spread is Washington by 3, actually. They're road favorites, so they would definitely cover in that regard. I'm going to go with Washington as well. I think they'll roll by about the same. And then the big game that night, LSU Bama, 7:45 on CBS. Bama favored by 3. LSU's Jaden Daniels has been balling out this year. Alabama, once again, they're up at the chopping block. Are they going to stay alive or are they going to get chopped again, like LSU did last year to them at Death Valley? But this time we're in Tuscaloosa. Matt, does Alabama answer the bell or does LSU ring the final bell for Alabama season?
I think Bama answers the bell. I think that's what you asked.
Yes.
34-28. I like Bama. 34-28.
All right. Very close game in that regard. Bama by 3. Just keep that in mind. Brady, who's going to win this football game?
I just don't think that Saban will lose 2 home games in one season. I think Alabama wins. I think Jalen Milroe is going to have a really good game, actually, with his legs. I think LSU, I don't think they're going to, I think they're going to play too aggressive on the receivers and, try to – even though their defense is not very good, which is why I think Jalen Milroe will have a huge game with his legs. I feel like they'll just clear out lanes and he'll just run. I think he has a 50-yard touchdown, multiple chunk gains. I think he's over 100 rushing yards. I just think Alabama wins. Their defense will hold LSU enough.
All right. There's your game picks for the week. We're not really going to do a whole lot with segments this week. For my more bounce to the ounce, I'm calling the UFC Cincinnati game. Not UFC, sorry, that's boxing. UCF versus Cincinnati game this Saturday. It's 2 teams in the bottom of the Big 12, but it should be a fun one, to say the least. We get to throw some punches at each other. So that'd be fun. The following week, I'll call it Cincinnati basketball game. If you guys want to tune into all that stuff, appreciate it. BK Roarling, I don't really know. You got to get some. You got to get some Advil, cold sinus, man, or something. Like maybe you taking a week off. I'd assume.
I have one thing. It's a stock up, stock down. Like kind of like
ahead.
this, but it's just one thing. Stock down
Yeah.
on Matt's opinion that Trey is not as good as Donovan Edwards.
Oh, God. Well,
I think I'm going to win a lot of money off that stock.
We could save that conversation for the Michigan game, I would say, if you want to do that. All right.
Yeah, if our defense lets Donovan Edwards make plays, then we didn't have a good defense in the first place. Because that dude can make plays on Minnesota.
Well,
Nebraska.
Yeah, that's a very touchy topic right there. We'll go to Matt's picks. Matt, how you feeling? Give us the lick.
Good. I had 2-1 last week. We're 15-11-1 on the year. So we're turning and burning. Good week last week. I'm going to start with number one pick. This is a -3 spread against the Trojans. I think it'll be high scoring. Both defenses aren't very good, but I just think USC, the Washington Huskies, -3 against USC. Next pick, give me the Ole Miss Running Rebels, -3 against Texas A&M. I got a good feeling about it. I think Texas A&M is against the spread. These lines, they're when they're playing Texas A&M, their roster's so talented that Vegas takes the lines into account, but they're actually just not a very good team. So regardless of how talented they are, they're just not very fucking good. So just give me Ole Miss -3. I like it. And pick of the week, I got it at 10.5. It is now 9. So if you're gonna get it later, or if you're gonna get it, from here on out, it's gonna go 9, maybe even less. I could see it even getting to 8 or 7.5 at some point, possibly. But I got it at 10.5. I got Maryland plus 10.5. I also bet the money line, but I will go ahead and put the lock of the week at giving 10.5 points. I think Maryland wins this game, and I also have the money line at plus 250 odds. So go Terps.
All right, cool. There are your Matt's picks for the week and everything. So that's good stuff there. Do we have anything we want to say before we head on out for the week?
I'm good.
All right. Good, Matt. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. We will see you guys next week. Hopefully a bit more enthusiasm.